Chapter 3. Butch was having lunch with another client and invited Arthur to join them. The client was a hefty Caucasian man in his mid-40s. His midday nourishment consisted of a steak and cheese sandwich with a side order of fries and a large Pepsi. Arthur and he exchanged niceties, with much of the sandwich jammed between his piston-like jaws. Butch's office, modestly adorned, sensibly paneled and ostentatiously laden with awards and citations, reflected a life of noteworthy achievement and brazen self-confidence. It sat on the 14th floor of the Dunmore Building, an office complex dedicated to Philip A. Dunmore, noted philanthropist and humanitarian who, after a lifetime of pioneering success in the garment industry, had donated his entire life savings to an orphanage in rural Burma. In keeping with the spirit of giving embodied in Dunmore's selfless act of charity, and following Butch's advice, the Burmese orphan children had used the money to construct the sprawling Dunmore office complex by means of a fairly straightforward multiplier effect. As was explained to the young orphans by caring Peace Corps volunteers, the children hoped to have the money trickle back down to them by contributing to a robust world economy, and thus benefiting one and all. Butch and Arthur were old college buddies who life, as it so often does, had sent on separate journeys. Arthur dropped out of college and inherited his father's citywide chain of male stripper clubs, and Butch went on to earn a degree in television VCR repair from a mail-order trade school before completing his MBA. Arthur eventually closed the stripper clubs after being condemned to hell by some local ministers. This followed an incident in which he was misquoted in a local paper as saying that he felt the Antichrist was merely a victim of bad press. The issue had first arisen in the question and answer period following a luncheon address to the Chamber of Commerce. The full text of Arthur's response clearly reveals him to have said that while he was in no way condoning the actions of the Antichrist, he felt it would be extremely difficult for the Antichrist to get a fair public hearing, given the strong anti-Antichrist public sentiment. Arthur had since embarked upon his, at times, unconventional lifestyle, surviving on the vast wealth generated from those clubs. He had first met Butch in, of all places, the university cafeteria. Arthur was having the Salisbury steak and sat alone. Butch, still online and leaning toward the veal, caught sight of Arthur from across the crowded lunchroom. He asked if he could join Arthur, who, with an inviting "it's a free country," offered Butch a seat. Butch had indeed chosen the veal, and Arthur, eyeing his green beans, felt a certain comfort with this new stranger in his life. Butch began with that awkward get-to-know-you kind of small talk, asking Arthur if he was a new student. Arthur, with a contemplatively long swallow of his chocolate milk, confirmed Butch's suspicions. "So, what are you thinking of majoring in?" Butch asked. "Dunno, I'm keeping my options open, know what I mean?" "Oh, yes, came back a thoroughly confused Butch. "So, where are you from?" "Here and there." "I see. And where'd you grow up?" Arthur looked up from his tray and, staring blankly past Butch, asked, "Can any of us ever really say we've grown up?" Hence, revealing that budding metaphysical curiosity that would later lead him to Butch's office, seated beside an engorged, middle-aged Caucasian man, in search of the meaning and purpose of life. "Guess you got a point. Well, hey, look at the time. Gonna be late. Yeah, see you around, huh?" Right. And with that, though they would not meet again for another 2 years, A friendship had been forged that would last a lifetime. "So, what can I do for you, Art?" Arthur thought carefully before beginning. How to explain his mission. How to condense his mind's query into some digestible nugget. How to have Butch enter his own realm of metaphysical wonder. He decided to begin with his broad project and get Butch's sense of how best to proceed. He explained how he had recently dedicated his life to finding the meaning and purpose of life so that he could more effectively sell life insurance for it. He described his earlier efforts and how his searching had sent him on a sojourn into the dark world of human waste elimination. Finally, he explained his searching had brought him here to investigate what appeared to be the true object of human waste elimination: profit in the form of money. Thus, to continue with his search for the meaning and purpose of life, down near its very roots, he had to find out what this thing called money was all about. Butch had his secretary hold all calls. "Let me get this straight," Butch mused. "You think money is the basis for the meaning and purpose of life?" "Not precisely. Let's just say I'm following a trail. When I began, I had a sense that human waste elimination was somehow tied to the meaning of life." "I see." "Because it's universal, Butch. Everybody does it the world over." "Oh, sure, I get it." "So I figure, find out what's behind this universal human activity, and I'd be halfway home." Sure. "So I found it. It's money. Now I gotta find out what's behind the money. What's the next link in the chain?" "Got it." "So give it to me straight, Butch. I'm ready to take this baby wherever it sails. What is with this thing called money?" "Money, right. Let's see. You see, the thing is that money, it's not really such an easy thing to just, talk about straight away like you're suggesting." "Sounds even more complex than I thought. You'd better begin with the basics." "All right. Let's see. You want to know about money? Well, it's like this. Money's a bunch of pieces of paper the government prints up so we can buy stuff." "I see. Where's the government get it?" "Well, they sort of start out with a set amount and then give it out to the people." "How do they figure out how much to give people?" "It depends. How much you make it work, or how much you get from a dead relative, or if you win the lottery, stuff like that." "And then we take the money and we give it to other people to buy stuff," Arthur added. "That's about it." "So all these people making money off of human waste do it so they can buy more stuff." "Something like that." Arthur was trying to make sense of things in his head. What he had so far was that there was this group of human waste industrialists who, taking advantage of a basic human proclivity, were helping people to eliminate their waste so that they could get money so that they could buy stuff. Butch assured him that this was a completely rational and socially responsible thing to do. "But how much stuff do they need precisely?" continued Arthur. "That's a toughie. Some folks, they settle for a few things. Others, they keep collecting more and more money to buy more and more stuff. But in the larger scheme of things, they only go after money so they can get a hold of more stuff. They don't really need the money, which is just useless pieces of paper. So what happens when a person collects all the stuff all the money can buy?" Arthur wondered. "Oh, don't talk crazy. It is not possible. There's too much stuff." "You got to open your mind, Butch. Just imagine it. What happens then? There's no more reason to get more money. They've got everything already. Hey, maybe that's it. That's the meaning and purpose of life, to collect as much stuff as you can to break from your need for money. But nobody can break from the need for money, Butch insisted. Aha, Arthur proclaimed. It's a vicious cycle. The more you collect to free yourself of dependency on money, the more dependent you become. That's deep. I like it. I think we're getting somewhere. But there must be a way to break the cycle. The meaning and purpose of life must be tied up in making as much money as you can until you break the cycle. What would be the point? Butch responded. Let's say you collected all stuff in the world there is to buy, so you don't need any more money. In the end, we're all dead anyway. What's all the money gonna buy you then? I think I see where you're going with this, Arthur rejoined. I like it. Play up the death angle. You might have something. Death. It's universal, just like human waste elimination. Arthur kicked himself. How could he have missed the connection? It was only natural. The meaning and purpose of life wasn't to be found in the human elimination of waste, nor in the natural outcome of the elimination of human waste, money. The meaning and purpose of life could only be found in the contrary form, death. To understand how to succeed in the life insurance industry, Arthur had first to confront and understand its very antithesis, the death industry. His quest had taken a most provocative turn. And so, Arthur rushed off to question death. As luck would have it, the 53rd Annual National Conference of Morticians was being held at the city's convention center that very weekend. There, within the somber den of dedicated peddlers of bereavement, Arthur hoped to find his next lead.